Hello there. I want to welcome you again to part 2 of our little lesson here about loving God. I hope you're doing well as always and praying for you. And I hope you're hanging in there. We're almost through the end of this, I think, allegedly. So just keep hanging in there. Be strong for the Lord. And hopefully we'll all be together soon. As I said, this is part 2. Last week we talked about what it means to love God. Matthew 22, Jesus says that the first and great commandment is loving the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. And what does that mean, to really love God? And the first thing we talked about was loving God spiritually, being thankful for all the things that He has done, all the things that He has provided, all the things that He is, and where He is, and what He is. But now I want to talk about something that is almost equally as important because it is so forgotten. And that is, number 1, we talked about loving God spiritually, but also this is number 2, loving God circumstantially. What does that mean? Well, we always think about God for what He has done for us, right? And we also think about what God is going to do for us. A home in heaven, we're going to be together forever, He's going to wipe every tear from our eye, things like that. But do you think about God for what He is doing for you right now? Do you love Him for that? So many times we think of God in past and future, but one of the biggest mistakes as Christians is we continually forget God in the present. Most of the suffering we see in the Old Testament, I talked about this a few weeks ago on that Wednesday sermon, but one of the reasons we see so much suffering in the Old Testament, what you've been reading in your books, is that people forget the Lord, right? And they don't forget the Lord not just for what He had done, but the very real truth that He is present with us right now. It's easy to remember the great feats that the Lord has done in the past or the amazing promises for the future, but for some reason, we as God's people often forget that He is with us right now. Think about the people in the wilderness, the people of Israel. Every day they would wake up in the morning and there was this amazing manna, this angel food, this cake with honey, this basically Krispy Kreme donuts every morning for breakfast. And it was provided every single day. And when you woke up in the morning, there was a massive pillar of cloud. And then at night, it was a pillar of fire guiding them every single day. And yet still, the people of Israel forgot the Lord over and over and over again. They would remember the past. They would remember that God delivered them from Pharaoh and from Egypt and those kinds of things. But even then, the past was tainted because they'd say, we remember the onions and the leeks and the garlics and the meat and the fish. And they would forget that God was providing for them, that God was protecting them, that God was there for them at that very moment. And that's what caused a lot of the doubt, a lot of the fear, a lot of the mistakes that the people of Israel made during that time sojourning in the wilderness because they forgot the Lord. So the question very quickly I want to ask to you and for myself is, do we remember? Do we remember what God is doing for us right now? Do we love the Lord circumstantially? Do you think about His protection? Do you think about His provision? As frustrating as these days that we live in, we're very concerned about the things we've lost in the creature comforts, as we talked about last week. But you have to remember that not just that God saved you in the past, that God has led you up to this moment, but that God is providing and protecting you right now. That He has done so much for you, but He is also doing so much for you every single day. I know it's kind of a fight to find things like toilet paper and certain supplies, but God has still provided for us each and every day. And when you're in a relationship, the reason why people have anniversaries and special holidays and things like that is to recognize the love that we have for the other person. Not just the past, like, we got married 8 years ago, but anniversaries are there to celebrate the love that you have for them right now. Do you love God for what He is doing for you in the present? To love God is to love Him circumstantially, to acknowledge Him right now, to be thankful for not what He has done, or for what He has done in the future, but what He is doing for you right now in this very moment. He said He will never leave you nor forsake you, that He is with you in the midst in this very moment. Thank God and love God that He is with you right now. Love Him circumstantially. And I want you to think about that and meditate on that as this week goes on. And we'll finish it up with part 3 next week. Again, I hope you're doing well. We love you very much. You're always in our prayers, and we will see you soon. Thank you, and God bless.